to AstroEnergy with astrologer angel Shelley Overton. Hello and welcome to the December 27th edition of the AstroEnergy Show. This is the last show for 2016, and we're going to be going over 2017 in this show. So I hope you had a wonderful Christmas time and Hanukkah and all the other lovely events that went on over the course of the last week. I have been hanging out with family and friends, and it has been very lovely. I had a very low-key Christmas day. We went out Christmas Eve and then went out to dinner and came back and opened presents, and it was really awesome. So, yeah. And then we had news, actually, Christmas Day, I guess we found out George Michael passed away. And then yesterday, I found out about a lovely musician who I met last year, about a year ago, up in St. Augustine. He was working on a record with the 11th House, which is a band that had been around a long time, was around in, I believe, the late 60s with Larry Coryell and Alphonse Mouzon and other musicians. And they had gotten back together to do a new album. And I got to meet Alphonse Mouzon, who I did not know at the time was actually battling cancer, but he lost his battle yesterday and he passed away. So today's show is dedicated to his memory, Alphonse Mouzon, and he was a lovely musician. So he's a drummer and a jazz fusion drummer and a jazz drummer, and he was an amazing person. So anyway, that being said, we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on now in the sky, and then we're going to go to our 2017 breakdown, which I've got a page and a half of notes and symbols and glyphs, and there's a lot to look at. So we're going to, actually, let me just turn my phone off here so it doesn't interrupt us while we're on the air. And then we can get to what's coming up for us all, see what's going on. So today we have lots of planets in Capricorn. We've got a couple in Sagittarius and Pisces, and then a smattering in a couple other signs. So I've actually got today's chart up for where I'm at. So as we speak, it is a 19-degree Aquarius rising, and Venus is at 22 degrees Aquarius. She's going through really quickly. She just got into Aquarius, but there she is at 22. So she's going to be going in early next year. She's going to be going in on the 4th to Pisces. Capricorn's on the brain. Anyway, Venus in Aquarius. So an attraction right now to freedom, love freedom. It's also a heightened awareness of, actually, excuse me, hang on one second. I have to give a little cough. I've had trouble lately with coughing, but hold on. It actually, Aquarian energy is alternative energy. So it's whatever it is, whatever sign, whatever house it's in, it is the alternative, is what is the opposite or a different, that which is different. And Venus is love, desire, feminine energy, or it can relate to the gay culture. So I was standing in line last night with my daughter, and there was a woman behind me in line. It was a very long line at Bath and Body Works. And she started talking to me, and then she started hitting on me, and she had her kids right there, and she's like, wow, you're looking really good. How old are you? And all this stuff. And I'm just like, wow, really? You're hitting on me? I mean, it was rather amusing because, that kind of thing doesn't happen from anyone lately because I don't really put out the vibe that I'm looking for anything. So it was rather amusing to me that I was standing in the line at Bath and Body Works, and I got hit on by the lady behind me. Anyway, so that's the energy. Venus in Aquarius. It's the alternative. It's gay lifestyle or an increase in looking for a partner if you're gay, or it's Also, if you're straight, it is that which is the other, that which is not the usual. It could be, if you're a conservative person, it could be an artist, or vice versa. So it lets us open up our minds to how we're really all alike, and the differences don't matter. That's what Aquarius energy is. It's humanitarian, it's all inclusive, it's everything is on a level playing field. And then we have the South Node in Pisces, so a lot of karma, a lot of past stories coming up. So as Venus gets closer to Pisces in the beginning of the year, look for past lovers or love interests to come back up. It is the position in the beginning of the year as in Pisces. Venus in Pisces will be more of the arts, more aesthetics, more poetry, things like that, things that expand our world with the arts. And then Mars is in Pisces, so that means the energy, if you're in Aries, you're probably not too happy with this energy, but it is triggering a lot of subliminal issues, and you may feel frustrated. It's interesting because my daughter has Mercury in Pisces and she's in Aries, so her ruling planet is Mars, and now Mars, her ruling planet, is in the sign of her Mercury. And I can see that she's been a little frustrated lately. She's much more assertive with me than she normally is, and acting out her teenage years. So that kind of energy will make us a little agitated. We might not know why. It could be something subliminal. We could be taking on other people's energy, other people's anger. So you'll see that more right now until Mars gets into the next sign, which is, I'll tell you real quick here. I was going to save it, but it's the 29th of January. So lots happening at the end of January as well. Yeah, we've got a lot to go over. And then today, Mars is approaching Neptune. So that's happening, and the Mars-Neptune conjunction happens on, if I can read it, I need my glasses. Here, I've got it right here, on the 1st of January, so New Year's Day. So it's going to be an interesting time, and it is a really good time to make New Year's resolutions around your dream, which is what Neptune and Pisces stands for, because, again, Neptune rules Pisces, and he's in his own sign. And then Mars is taking action. So we'll bring in the new year taking that action and wanting to do something. And the thing with Mars and Pisces is that he is in the last sign of the zodiac, which is the subconscious, the hidden, and a water energy, really strong. Of course, we went over Neptune last week, so it's strong water energy, which means there is a chance for flooding, there's a chance for snow, there's a chance for blizzards. I haven't looked at the weather. I don't know what's going on now. I know we have a really beautiful day here in Orlando today, but I know it's going to get cold towards the end of the week, which is right in time for the new year. So, it's going to be another week, and I know this time of year seems to always have strong energy around storms. But, of course, because it's winter, we're getting more of the blizzard kind of thing. And also because we have a lot of planets in Capricorn, which rules the cold. So other times of year, if we had Mars approach Pisces, we'd have rainstorms. But because it's winter, it is snowstorms. Unless you live where I live, of course, in which case it's just, maybe overcast days and rain, and then the chill. We're supposed to get cold also. Probably in time for, 3 days from now, in time for the Sun to conjunct Mercury. Okay, so we've got Uranus at 20 degrees Aries, and he is trining the moon today in Sagittarius, and also Saturn at 20 degrees Sagittarius. So he's in an exact trine today to Sagittarius, actually probably a little earlier today, or maybe even late yesterday, because it's 52 minutes, Saturn at 20:52, and Uranus is at 20:33. So, but they are still at the 20 degrees, so they're in trine. And the moon is at 17, approaching a conjunction to Saturn. So trine Saturn Uranus, that's going to be a really strong energy around structure, the physical structure of things. It's also aggression, foreign soil. Again, I said this before, but I know trines are a positive cooperative energy, but trines can also be, we have something that we don't like followed by something that's beneficial to us. So it can also mean that something that we would perceive as negative can happen, and especially with the larger planets, Saturn and Uranus. Um, Saturn, whatever he rules, and Uranus, whatever it rules. So Saturn is the structure and authority and bosses and responsibility, and it's around foreign affairs. It could affect our government. It could affect, leaders or people in charge and foreign policy. And it can also affect spiritual leaders and people of a spiritual bent or religious bent, more specifically religious, because Pisces is spiritual. And because, we do have Neptune and Mars in Pisces, they're not square, which is good, but they are in a squaring sign, but it does rule spirituality. And so there could be something coming up around priesthoods or religious figures. And then Uranus is the unexpected. And again, what is it, tomorrow? And it's 11/11, so make that wish. And I don't have, where's my ephemeris here? Hang on one second. I've got a 2017 ephemeris all ready to go, but my 2016 is not up yet. So I've got to grab that because I wasn't planning initially to talk about what's going on right now. But I always like to do that. It kind of grounds me and gets me going for what I need to say for the next part of the show. So, and now I've got the ephemeris, and I completely lost what I was going to look up. The day that Uranus goes direct, which is the 29th. So we're 2 days away from Uranus direct. And so he's probably going to be a bit of a bugger. He's going to be getting ready within 2 days. So because he has such a long time retrograde, it's around 5 months retrograde, he's so close to changing direct that it's kind of like if you hit your brakes, or a better visual is an airplane slowing down and reversing the engines. So the engines are reversing, we're coming down and we're landing on the runway, and the engines are reversing to slow us down to a stop. That's what's going on right now. And the visual is probably even more profound just because he is in trine to Sagittarius energy with the moon and Saturn, and that is airplane travel. So there's probably some more airplane issues. It isn't necessarily the weather, although the weather could play into it towards the end of the week, like I said. More of this kind of energy is electrical, mechanical, technical, because of Uranus's association with that type of thing. And then Aries is also, it rules mechanics and people who use their hands and do the physical, tangible things on the airplane or in transportation modality. If it falls in your third house, it could mean that it has to do with your vehicle. So, that's the thing about astrology. There are just so many nuances and so many possibilities because of the positions of the planets and the houses. So today, as I get into 2017, it's going to be, this is the year coming up. These are the major influences. These are the energies that we see, but every person's chart is individual. And if you know your rising sign and you know approximately where the different signs are in your chart, you can hone in better on what's going on for the coming year. Also, I will be producing a kind of like a 2017 breakdown that I'll put up on my website under the blogs, and so that you'll have that. So that's probably 2 or 3 days worth of work that I'm going to put into that. So definitely I'm aiming for January 1st, but it might come just after that. But that's my goal because it's a lot of work. So anyway, we've got Jupiter opposite exactly 20. So that's an interesting energy. We have Saturn at 20, Jupiter at 20, and Uranus at 20. So they're all at the very first degree of the last decan of their particular signs. So Jupiter at 20 Libra is finishing up, and this is interesting because Jupiter is going to be in the end area of Libra for, I would say, 5 to 6 months out of the next 10 that he's going to be transiting through Libra, because he's going to go retrograde early next year as well. And actually, I think it's in February 3rd, February 6th. So we're going to see slow down for him into February, but there's a lot of stuff going on. There's good stuff. There's a little bit of frustrating stuff coming up in January, but at least this year, because I remember last year he went retrograde. Either Saturn or Jupiter went retrograde right out of the gate, the beginning of the year, and that was really frustrating because it was like we were getting a headwind, and then it said no. And so this year, though, we have until February till he goes retrograde, which is really awesome. And so 20 degrees of Jupiter, so that would be the Gemini house. So he's going to be more about the communication side of relationships and concepts that we have, like, oh, how is it that we feel we need we have to have our needs met? And so Jupiter, again, expansion and self-interest. So where is it that we need to pay attention to our own interests within the relationship? And how can we use what we truly desire? Because now we're going into the time where Jupiter is showing us what we need in the relationship. And so we have to make that happen. It's going to be our story for at least the next month. And then again, after he goes direct later on in 2017, but he's going into Scorpio, which is the commitment to it. So right now we're trying to figure out what it is we really want with that relationship, because by the end of the year, we're going to be committing to it. So having an opposition to Uranus, again, Uranus going direct day after tomorrow, this is really strong energy around partnering, around making it happen, especially Uranus in Aries, last 20 degrees, last 10 degrees of the sign. We're going to be really digging in and manifesting the drive towards making our own business, making our life the way we want, doing the ideas, the inventions, the newness. It's all about that. It's about newness. It's about, having all that strong, fresh energy, clarity of thought coming in and acting on it, promoting it, putting it out in the public eye. That's what Aries wants to do. The fire signs all really are good about promoting. Leo is the leader, wants to be in the public eye. Aries wants to write about it and go out and toot the horn. And Sagittarius spreads it amongst other countries and around to other people. So definitely it's a really strong energy about getting noticed and getting it done and taking the action. Then Jupiter, of course, is also travel in Libra, so there's a really great time for connecting to people of other countries, but also traveling for pleasure and fun. We've got, let me see, did I go through over this? I don't want to use up the whole show on this because we do have a lot for 2017. Okay, so the moon conjunct Saturn, it's going to be, again, foreigners, teachers, musicians, distance, travel. And then because of the connection to Uranus, that it's going to be more about connecting to other people in business. And Sagittarius rules education, higher education, and it's really the 12th house to your career. So this is about really getting your ducks in a row about what you want to do for the educational side of your career and what you want to do for your career. Sun at 6 Capricorn and Mercury at 9 Capricorn retrograde, and he's retrograde through the 8th. So he's going to crisscross the Sun, and I don't know if I have that. Do I have that in my 2017 Mercury, Sun? No. So let's see what 9, the Sun will be at 9 Sag and Mercury will be at 27. So he's going to go direct. Oh, wait a minute. Let me get on 2017. Hang on a second. I'm just trying to give you the Mercury-Sun conjunction real quick if I can. Mercury, Mercury, Mercury. And he is at 3 degrees of Capricorn, but he goes back into Sagittarius and the Sun is forward in Capricorn. So I guess there's not going to be a conjunction for him. No, there's got to be. Wait a minute. Okay, what the heck? Hang on a second. There has to be a conjunction because they're going to crisscross. But my ephemeris is, oh, there it is. Okay, it's going to be the 29th, between the 29th and 30th. There. That didn't make sense. Okay, so between the 29th and 30th, they'll be at exactly the same point, which means that it's going to be highlighted. The whole talking authority, I'm guessing this is probably diplomacy. It could relate to England. It could relate to Trump. It could relate to anyone in authority or perceived authority coming up and getting the spotlight. That's where the spotlight is. Sun is shining the light on the communications aspect, and going back towards the past. Capricorn in the past, reliving some issues. What are people in charge saying? Is this true? Is it accurate? Mercury retrograde. We're going to see it again. It's coming back. So anything that's being said in the next few days probably will be either backpedaled or changed or reiterated in a different way. Something's going to change with the information we get from authorities. And are they responsible for the words they're saying? Things are going to change. You're going to see it change by the beginning of the year. It's not going to be what's being said. So Pluto in Capricorn, 16 degrees, going direct. So it is about the change. We're moving towards like the next decade. Pluto will get into the last 10 degrees of Capricorn, and we're going to deal with more of the healing, as that's the Virgo decade. So we're going to see a little bit more about the earth, about healing, and that alternative energy is going to start to come in as Pluto gets closer to Aquarius. So that's pretty much everything in the chart now. I'm going to just really quick, let me see, 11/21. I'm going to actually forward my ephemeris to January just so I have a more accurate view of what's going on in my chart. And then I'm going to go to my 2017 chart, and I'm going to tell you what's going on next year. So we come into the new year pretty close to the same energy that we have right now, because most of the planets are going to be right in the same spot. Venus is going to be at 2 degrees Sagittarius. Saturn's going to be at 11. So Venus will be approaching a conjunction to Saturn. And the reason I tell you all this is because when New Year's Eve happens at midnight, then that's kind of like the birth of the new year, right? Everything is shifting and changing and new, and so it's going to be the photograph of the year to come. So let me just real quick alter my calendar here, okay, my program. So midnight 2017, January 2017 in the Eastern time zone, but it's going to shift as we go across. I don't know if I want to even get bogged down too much in the specifics of midnight. But as a whole, we have Uranus at 20, Jupiter at 21 opposing each other. So that's an energy of the year. It's going to be an energy around relationship, moving forward with what we want to do. Uranus is fresh out of a retrograde. He wants to go forward. Jupiter is saying, yeah, I'll help you. Let's partner up. So it's a year of partnering for business. It's a year of creating your own business. And I can testify because I have one that I'm working on. It's something I've been doing for a long time, but I'm thinking of getting it going in the new year. And then we have a trine to Saturn. Also, there's that same Saturn, Uranus, Jupiter trine. So it's about foreign market, foreign energy, and spirituality, spiritual growth. So all of that is going on this year. And it's also about connecting to your partner in a spiritual way, so that now you're going forward and you want to really own where you're coming from. Are you going back to school? What's your educational status like? Are you enjoying it? Are you getting the information you need from that experience? We also have Mercury retrograde still at the beginning of the year until the 8th. And so that's going to be difficulty of communication. As an overriding story throughout the year, we're going to have that issue. And then I know at the end of the year, again, we have a Mercury retrograde in Capricorn. And, well, Sagittarius, Capricorn, I believe. Yeah, Sagittarius, and it goes back 28 degrees. And then, actually, it stays in Sagittarius. Okay, good. We get out of that. That's good. Because we had 2 Capricorn Mercury retrogrades, I believe, this year. One at the beginning of the year, one at the end. So it was all Earth energy Mercury retrograde. So next year is going to be more in the fire sign. So we're going to see actions done and redone throughout the course of the year. Okay, and then the moon will be at Aquarius. So it's a year of clarity and moving forward. Also, numerologically, is 1 year. When you add the numbers together, you get 10. 7-1-2017. It's 10, which is 1. It's initiating energy and it's moving forward. This year was a 9, so it was wrapping up the old story. Next year, definitely, finally, is getting to move on. Okay. So let's go over the aspects throughout the year so we can see what's what. And there's a lot of stuff. There's so many. Okay, so in January, we have a Mars-Neptune conjunction on New Year's Day, and that's at 10 degrees Pisces. So again, Mars, Neptune, they're going to be talking about weather, it's going to be water, it's going to be the old story, and we're going to be really looking to dig up a lot of our subconscious issues, and we may be seeing them in our environment, or we may be pulling back from them. Mars is men and masculine energy, and it's more of the idealized view of things, of course, in Pisces. So we're going to be seeing more of an idealized view. It can also mean more arts, like I said before. The whole boho style of dress, bohemian, is very popular. Or probably that will, I think, go on a little bit longer. But definitely with the moon in Aquarius, we're going to see around like shopping in the marketplace is going to be more towards clean, crisp, modern, more eclectic. We may see hints of technology or things that look more robotic. I don't know how to explain it, but like more plastics or shiny surfaces, things that are cleaner, things like that. And also Venus is at 27 Aquarius, so that can also, our aesthetic is going to be a little bit more towards that clean, clear, crisp energy. And then we'll probably morph into more of the sensitive side later on in the year with Venus going into Pisces, and then the Mars Pisces junction with Neptune. So at least aesthetically. Sun-Pluto conjunction on the 8th in Capricorn. So that's going to bring out, in January, it's going to bring out, again, more of the attention to elderly or old school, or the way it was, the structure of the past. So old government systems, old teaching, old technology, old, everything that's traditional is going to get a spotlight at the beginning of the year. Mercury retrogrades in Capricorn, and actually I'm just reading this, what I have written down. Capricorn back into Sagittarius until the 8th, and it will be, I think, 28 degrees, 28 when it finally goes direct, and then he'll get to 29 right away again and go back into Capricorn on the 13th of January. So, so Mercury in Capricorn for most of the month of January. And again, everything very solid, tangible. This is career energy. It's about stepping up and taking responsibility within your career or within the workplace. So the energy is focused on the boss or the authority or the person with credibility and becoming that person. So look to your life, look to yourself for where can you shore that up. For me, it falls in my 3rd house, and that is writing. And wonderfully, I have a book to edit, and so it's going to be right there getting the book out. So it's a good month to finish up writing if you have it in the 3rd house. Venus-Neptune conjunction on the 13th at 10 Pisces. Again, it's about love, it's about beauty, it's about aesthetics, expansion. It's really universal love. So if you want to, show someone you love them, that's a good time to do it, because we're all going to be feeling, and I can tell you Woodstock, the first Woodstock that came about, that summer of love, that's the kind of energy. Agape, thank you. It's agape love. And then Mars square Saturn, the 19th of January, and it's at 23 Pisces, squaring Pisces to Sag. So Mars is in Pisces, squaring Saturn in Sag. And again, Mars, Saturn square, action, foreign soil, or foreigners. It could also be a terrorist event, but it is acting out aggressively. And this is interesting because Mars is in Pisces. Mars doesn't want to act out right now. Mars wants to go to sleep. Mars wants to chill out and hang loose. But Sagittarius, which is where Saturn is, wants to move things forward. So my guess is this event, if there happens to be an event, it's going to revolve around the emotionalism of the frustration. And Sagittarius wants to go forward, take things to a new level, and Mars is saying, no, I'm not there yet, or I don't want to do it. So there's going to be some disconnect between the actions taken, because again, Saturn in Sagittarius is fire, warm energy, and wants to turn it, wants to set it on fire. And Mars, which normally is on fire, is in a water sign, so he's being tamped down. It's not helping. It's going to be very much more emotional and actually hidden. So there could be things that come out in that week around the 18th that, this was going to happen, but it didn't happen. And it could also be the energy of finding something that didn't happen. And then the one last thing I wanted to say was, let's see, on the 8th. Oh, no, I did say that. Okay, Mercury direct. Okay, so moving into February, the time of love. This is my favorite holiday. I know it gets such a bad rap, though. Everyone's like, "Oh, I hate Valentine's Day because it's, if you don't have anybody." But guess what? This year, it's about the love. It's about loving no matter what. It's not about having that one person. It's about enjoying love for love's sake, which is a huge reason why I like the holiday. So hopefully you can find something to love in the holiday as well. But Jupiter retrogrades on the 6th, and he is retrograde until June 9th in the sign of Libra. He goes from 23 degrees to 13 degrees. So he is going over the juicy middle section of that sign, and he wants to go back in the past and reevaluate the relationship. I've known a few relationships that have not made it through 2016, and chances are, if you're one of them, you're going to start to reevaluate that relationship, of course, coming up on Valentine's Day, because that's the time of year that the spotlight's shining on relationships. So we're going to feel that in Libra. Libra is also, it's an air energy. It's about the concept. So again, conceptually, looking back, trying to figure it out, what happened. Jupiter feels a little closed off. He acts a little bit more like Saturn. So it's going to be a little harsher energy for romance. It's not as lovey-dovey. It's much more practical and pragmatic when Jupiter goes retrograde. So you can see that for the first half of the year, much more about the tangible, practical, which is really interesting because I can't tell you what I'm working on, but it relates to something I'm doing, and that's kind of the meat of when we're doing it, and it does relate to love. So, and so definitely by the time it goes direct, that's like culmination, ready to go forward, moving forward, and then of course once Jupiter goes direct, it's going to be pretty clear fast into Scorpio. Okay, Mars-Pluto square on the 22nd of February. It's at 18 degrees. It's Aries and Capricorn square Mars in Aries and Pluto in Capricorn. Again, it's going to be the pushing against. So I know January is the inauguration, so right out of the gate, this is going to be the pushing against. Aries, Capricorn. Aries, Mars wants to go forward, new energy, children, tantrums. And Pluto is going to say, yeah, but this is the way things are. Scorpio energy is Pluto, and Pluto can be very cut and dry. It can be a little harsh. I'm not going to kid you. Pluto is, I see it black and white. This is the way it is. Get on board. I don't care if you like it or not. I've made a decision. And that's what Pluto/Scorpio is really good at, is making a decision. If you are a Scorpio, this energy is going to be probably tense and intense for you because your ruling planet is trying to fight for something more tangible, and it's being derailed by other energies that are saying, no, you want to do this, but I want to do that. And especially if you're Capricorn, you're going to have probably children or youthful male energy at odds with what you're trying to accomplish. And they're wanting their freedom. So I have a friend who's a Capricorn, and she has a young son. He's a fire sign. He's a Leo. But this is going to affect him because it's trining. The Mars trining Leo in Aries is going to affect people who are fire signs because they're the ones who are going to be, no, let's just do it. What are you waiting for? And then Pluto in Capricorn is saying, no, the decision's been made. I'm the authority. I'm the father figure. And we're going to do it my way. So that's where that comes from. Now, in a global scale, If you think of different countries as children and others as the ones in charge, or the ones who have given themselves the responsibility of being in charge, we're going to have trouble. Aries also rules police and emergency workers. So Mars in Aries, it wants to do what it wants to do when it wants to do it. And then it's probably going to be some energy around fires. And this is February again. So we'll see some of that coming up this year. And then Mars and Uranus are conjunct on the 27th of February in Aries. So not only do we have the Mars-Pluto square right after it, we have Mars and Uranus conjunct. So the thing with that is that while Mars is squaring Pluto, he's throwing his tantrum saying, no, you can't stop me. And right afterwards, he says, this is how you're not going to stop me. I've got Uranus on my side now. And let me tell you, Uranus is quite powerful as well against Pluto. And he is the king of change, as we know. I think we just went over him a couple weeks ago. So he's the one who wants things to move forward. Again, Uranus, it rules Aquarius, it rules LGBT and the agenda for LGBT, and it rules alternate lifestyles, technology, the internet, anything electrical on a large scale, and storms. So we're going to see some of that energy when Mars conjuncts, but also because it's a fire sign, they're in Aries, it could be firestorms, and you can translate that into also clashes of will. So they're going to be firestorm of wills at that time. So yeah, it's going to be pretty contentious towards the end of February. Moving into March, and of course, March is the month of Pisces with Sun in Pisces. We start out with the Sun-Neptune conjunction on the 2nd in Pisces, so it's going to come in like a lamb, you might say, because that's the energy of Neptune in Pisces. And then it's going to go out like a lion, Jupiter, Pluto square at the end of the month. But we've got on the 6th, we have, well, actually, let me start here. Venus retrogrades in Aries on the 4th of March. And it's retrograde through the 15th. So it goes from 13 degrees Aries to 26 Pisces. So it's going from the new fresh energy, desiring to add the voice to assertiveness for women and be out full force. And then it goes back into Pisces, wrapping up those deep emotional subliminal things like, okay, now I'm going forward. I want to take action. What's going to happen? I'm going to go back into Pisces, and then I'm going to have the self-doubt, and I'm going to start worrying about everybody else, because that's what Pisces does. It's so connected to the collective that it sometimes gets lost with the boundaries. Aries is going to give you back your boundaries when Venus gets direct. On the 6th, we have a Sun-Mercury conjunction in Pisces, which is also going to be really watery, really sensitive. And then let me see, that's at 13 degrees. And we have Mercury conjunct Neptune on the 4th, the same day Venus is conjunct the Sun. And so Mercury conjunct Neptune on the 4th of March is going to be, I'm sorry, I'm just kind of visualizing this. Again, it's actually a highly psychic time. You're going to be really tuned in and watch for boundaries low, a little space equality. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to step up the pace here. We're losing time on the show because I'm trying to talk about too much. Okay, so we've got that. Then we got Mercury and Uranus conjunct on the 10th in Aries in, let's see, the 10th of March. So Mercury, Uranus. Okay, we all know this is high intense energy around shift, change, business, and electricity, and all things that are ruled by electricity, radios, phones, TVs, internet, anything that's an appliance. Yeah, that's going to definitely have an effect on us in March. So March 10th at 22 degrees Aries. So yeah, and also be careful about explosives and fire energy, which Uranus is explosives and Aries is fire. So it's accidents around fire, and unfortunately it's also nuclear energy coming up at that time. Could be accidents. Anytime there's a Mercury connection, I always associate that with accidents of some sort. Mercury conjunct Uranus, which also is, I don't necessarily think of Uranus as an accident. It's more of an explosion, which can be an accident, but it's more just profound shift of energy, which coupled with Mercury can be an explosion, especially in Aries. So fire or explosions, like this year we had the fireworks factory go up. That would be an example of this kind of energy. Mercury and Uranus, that's the 10th of March. Then Jupiter and Pluto square on the 30th. That's exiting March. And so that's in Libra and Capricorn, Jupiter, Pluto square. So we're going to have the breaking of the structure, the disentangling or the difference of opinion. And we're going to have to find a way to be more cooperative. But it's going to be difficult because Jupiter in Libra means that we're looking out for our own interests within the partnership, or if Pluto represents the other and Jupiter in Libra represents both of the people in the partnership, it's going to be us against them. And so the end of March, we'll see, now we're battling against a larger entity. So it's either going to be like the coupling having difficulty because of the career of one of them. So that's the square. That could be the story. And then the other side could be it's us against the authority figure. It's the entity that we're trying to create against the rules and regulations that the government has against that particular action. April, Saturn goes retrograde on the 5th at 27 Libra, and he goes back to 21 Libra. I didn't put the date how far he goes retrograde. So let me look real quick here. How the heck? Oh, yeah, I pulled it out. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just talking to my computer. Let's see. Saturn retrogrades all the way through 21, 20. Boy, he's in 21 degrees for most of the middle of the year, and then he goes to 22. Okay, so he goes direct. Where is that little D? Well, there it is. Okay, so it's in August. So he's retrograde all the way through the 26th of August, which is quite a chunk of this year. April through August, Saturn retrograde, which means going back again. If you're someone who is broken up in a partnership or a relationship, the summer is a time when you're going to start thinking about it. You're going to want to go back. You're going to maybe give it a second chance, second shot. Anybody who breaks up in the public eye, celebrities, if they break up early in the year, they're going to try it again. But by the time Saturn goes direct at the end of the year, you're going to see that it'll probably, why did I put Libra? That's not true. It's Saturn retrograde in Sagittarius. I apologize. So yeah, that completely negates that. I apologize. Jupiter retrograde will have that effect, and that is February through, let's see, oh boy, Jupiter's retrograde for a good long time as well. 13, 14, and okay, he's retrograde through June. So I'm sorry. So just shift that over to February through June. And that's when you're going to want to get back with your partner. Saturn retrograde, and because I wrote the wrong sign down here, I derailed. Sagittarius. So Saturn in Sagittarius, again, it's what are we doing with foreigners? What are we doing on a national scale, a global scale? Are we doing the right thing for our career? Are we moving? Do we want to move once it goes retrograde? We may have doubts about the move we want to make, but ultimately, of course, the retrograde periods make us go backwards. Although there is also the energy with Saturn retrograde in Sagittarius, it's going to act more like Jupiter when he retrogrades. So over the course of the summer, much more opportunity for travel, and these things will come up. So what happens is we get, I think, a little bit lightening of the energy. That's one of the rare times that I think that Saturn is going to be something more positive, which is when he's retrograde and he's in the sign of Sagittarius, because then it isn't like we're really restricted anymore, and Sagittarius loves the freedom. And so we're a little bit more free to do things with Saturn retrograde. So that's good. Mars trine Pluto on the 6th. Again, the trine can bring something difficult followed by something positive. Mars is the structure, or excuse me, the action taken. And this time Mars is in Taurus, so it's going to be about our money. And April is definitely money time. Of course, it's the IRS month, tax month. And in Taurus, so I would say Mars trine Pluto. Again, there could be a little warble of something, and then Pluto's in Capricorn, so that's governmental things. Definitely a trine is more cooperative, but I would say if you're going to turn in your taxes, I would do it before the 6th, because that exact, I personally, as an astrologer, am a little cautious and I'm not as anxious for the trine's initial hit. So if I were you, I would just get my taxes in by the end of March personally, but probably not on the 30th with the Jupiter-Pluto square. You want to get it in probably Sun-Venus conjunction is a good time, and also with the moon in void, of course, is a good time. Thank you, Ann Ortley, an astrologer's point of view for that. Okay, what do we have here? We've got Mars, Pluto, Mercury retrogrades in Taurus, and then goes back into Aries at 4 degrees. And I didn't put the date down. Darn it. That's one of my few mistakes, but I did that. So that is April. Let's look in April. So I can give you a heads up for that. So Mercury retrogrades in April. There it is, the 10th, April 10th. Yeah, for 3 weeks. So throughout the month. So it'll be Taurus, money again. 4 degrees Taurus, going back to 24 Aries. So it's going to be about money, and then it'll be about purchases. So that's on the 10th. If you're doing your taxes, you're going to have to go have those receipts for your purchases. That's what that's about. And then we'll go over that more each month as these transits happen. We'll get into more detail in my weekly show. But the Sun-Uranus conjunction on the 14th in Aries, again, highlighting technology, highlighting action, businesses, independent businesses, entrepreneurship. Pluto retrogrades on the 20th of April. He goes from 19 Capricorn to 16. The 28th of September is when he goes direct, so he's going to be retrograde from April 20th until September 28th, which is a good chunk, 6 months of the year, and 5 months, I guess, technically. And so, let's see, so Capricorn, again, Capricorn, it initially will have us going backwards. It's going to, every time Pluto retrogrades, it is about fire energy, decision-making, and commitment. So, if you think about Pluto, he rules like volcanoes and anything plutonic. And so that's also explosion. So that energy, and it's also in the sign of Taurus, which is earth energy. So Pluto retrograde on that day, anything around that date is going to be something fiery in earth. And so that's earthquakes and, underwater, any of these underwater volcanic activities and earthquakes kind of energy. And we'll get more into that as the month comes. Mercury-Uranus conjunction, 29th of April at 24 degrees Aries. Again, that's the first one, and then Mercury goes direct, and then he hits it again on the 10th of May. So those 2 dates, I would write down the 429 and then 510, because those are energies of changing your mind really rapidly and, taking action. So be careful of the actions you take. It is higher energy around accidents, Mercury, Uranus, but then it's also in Aries, which is, I did it too quickly and I wish I hadn't done that. So physical things like that. And then again, the 10th, Mercury goes direct and then he goes back over the conjunction. But on the 10th, there is a full moon at 20 degrees Scorpio. This is the energy of I am ticked off and I'm going to get revenge and I'm going to do something. And it's probably the energy of I wish I hadn't done that. It's very much about quick tempers and revenge. So I would just really, May 10th down, be careful that time, because you don't want to let your emotions and your intensity get the better of you, because that full moon in Scorpio, they know how to wield a knife. Let's just put it that way. Mars-Neptune square on the 11th, and that is, again, it's battling the drive to do something in Gemini, Mars in Gemini, and then Neptune in Pisces. So Mars is getting through the zodiac pretty quickly. So he spends about a month in a sign unless he retrogrades, and this coming year, there is no Mars retrograde. That's an awesome thing. So we get full speed ahead the whole year, going to be able to take action on those dreams and desires. And because he's so closely linked to Uranus at the beginning of the year, he's going to move forward and be able to really culminate some of those dreams. But on May 11th, he will be in a square. And so that means words are going to, it's Mars in Gemini, which means you're going to say things that you wish you hadn't said. And I could unequivocally say, keep your eye on the new president, because I'm pretty sure he's going to stick his foot in some quagmire that day. Mars, Jupiter on the 12th, again, Gemini, Libra. Jupiter in Libra, trine. So that's more positive energy towards relationships where you're probably going to get more than one suitor. So you can look forward to that in May, and very chatty month with the Gemini energy, latter part of the month. And then Saturn, Uranus trine on the 18th, Sagittarius, Aries. So it's going to be fire energy, Saturn, Uranus. So Saturn, again, new inventions. That would be a great time to release any new upgrade. Oh, just got my headset. Apple upgrades would be good for that date. But that's it. Technology and business, and Saturn in Sagittarius is, release of something on a global scale or in other countries. So it's more positive energy. But it could also mean, because it's Saturn and Uranus, they're very intense energies. There could be some discord around ideas and how we can manifest them, how we're going to, move forward and use those in business. June, what did I put that there for? Unexpected, and Venus conjunction. Venus-Uranus conjunction in Aries at 27 degrees is an unexpected ending. So, Venus-Uranus. Uranus is, I'm here and then I'm gone. I'm there and then I'm gone. I'm here and I'm thinking about something new, but it's in Aries at 27, which is the ending energy. And Venus is love and desire. So something's ending in June and moving on to new horizons and new pastures. Neptune retrogrades on the 16th, and he is at 14 degrees of Pisces. So look for water issues middle June, which actually we might welcome with all the fire and, all the fire sign energy and the fires in the country. When Neptune retrogrades, it also can withdraw water. So there's probably going to be a bipolar water energy between drought and flooding come the middle of the year. Mars-Neptune trine on the 26th, so that's probably going to be the, and I didn't put what sign he's in at that point, so I'm guessing he's still in Gemini, but he could be in Cancer. If Mars and Neptune are in water signs together, then it's going to be more water coming, more floods and rain. And if he is in Gemini, then it's going to be probably more drought. Anyway, Mars-Uranus square on July 17th, 28 degrees Cancer, and Uranus in Aries. That's going to be, I don't know if I can really get to the end of the show with all this, so I'm going to have to step up the pace here. So I'm going to start to hit some highlights that I wrote down. Mars-Uranus square on the 17th of June is going to be difficulty. It's Uranus's humanitarianism. I'm guessing it's also, unions. So that's probably a big union week coming up. Actually, I take it back, July 17th. I think I said June. July 17th. That's strong adversity around unions or anything that deals with everybody getting along, global unity. Mars in conjunct Saturn on the 9th, and there's a full moon that day in Capricorn. That is going to be a difficult aspect. That can be people leaving. That's also conflict. Again, ideological conflict, but it's in conjunct, which means that's more likely going to be something of a warlike nature, some event happening where there's an acting out of masculine energy and, acting out on authority. And then the full moon in Capricorn, this is a big anti-authority aspect. So July 9th, look for that. Let's see, what else do we have? Mercury retrogrades in August. So coming up, Uranus goes retrograde August 2nd. It's in Aries, 28 degrees, and he will be retrograde through the beginning of 2018. So we have until August, fortunately, for Uranus to be going direct, because he just turns direct in 2 days, and he will be direct until August of next year, which is awesome. And so, again, I'm really stoked about Uranus and Aries energy because I am very entrepreneurial. And any of you who have been wanting to start your own business, this energy is all about that. This coming year is get it done and do it until August. And then, so it's probably going to be around February, I'm guessing. I'm just postulating when he will be retrograde through. So let's just look real quick on that, and I'll tell you. I'm sorry, I'm just buying time, chit-chatting to buy time so I can tell you when that's going to be. But I hope you listen to this twice, because you're going to want to write a lot of dates down with everything I'm saying here. Okay, so Uranus, when are you going direct? Wow, he's direct right out of the gate in 2018. 2018 is going to be interesting because Saturn just goes into Capricorn, and then Uranus goes direct on the 3rd of January. So it's a really big year having that energy. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, by the end of the year, Uranus gets to Taurus. Yeah, Uranus gets to Taurus in May even. So 2018 is a pretty big shift year as well. So, okay, August. So Jupiter-Pluto square on the 4th of August. Again, it's going to be difficulty around cooperation. That's what Jupiter in Libra is, diplomacy, and egos are going to, say, hey, no, I need to get this need met and that need met. Again, if you want me to flesh it out a little more, I will do that in the weekly shows. And also, if you want a personal reading, I can give you a better view of what's going to go on for you personally through astrologerangel.com, my website. Mercury retrogrades in Virgo and then goes back to Leo on the 13th of August. And so it's going to be 3 weeks of that. He goes up to 28 degrees of Leo. And so the issues there are going to be health issues in August. And I think a lot of health issues are going to be coming up later on then. And it's stress related too. If you're not paying attention to your diet and all that, you're going to start to get some stress-related issues come August. Venus, Pluto are opposed on the 16th. So again, desires, opposite, authority. As long as Pluto's in Capricorn, we're going to have authority issues and it's going to probably heighten because we've got all these, we're going to have Jupiter making his way through Sagittarius in 2018, and he'll get to Capricorn by 2019. We have Saturn going into Capricorn, I believe, the end of this coming year. So we're still going to have some Capricorn energy about that restriction, about that authority, about really trying to get our muscles toned so that we can own our own lives, so we can take over and be the responsible people for our lives as the next decade comes in and we move towards the Aquarian energy. Because once we get to Aquarian energy, the true dawning of the age of Aquarius, when Pluto goes in, I believe I've been talking about it a lot, I think it's 2023, that's when we hit that humanitarian universal energy. And right now, before we get it, we have all this push towards the ending of the old paradigm of authoritarianism. So we're getting a really strong push towards that right now. The Venus-Pluto opposition on the 16th of August, that's going to be that kind of energy. The total solar eclipse happens on the 21st in Leo, and there's a moon in conjunct Chiron, I believe that same day. So the 21st of August, moon in conjunct Chiron is going to be some emotional, painful issues. I don't know where Chiron is. I think it's in Pisces. And so I'm sorry, I don't have that one little detail where the moon is that day. But okay, so the show's going to end for the live people listening, but I'm going to continue on. You can listen to it in archive. There is still 3 months left that I have to go over, so I'm going to end it probably in the next 10 minutes, but we're going to get through the end of the year. And September only has one strong aspect that I'm going to touch on, and then we'll get to October, November, December. Mars, Uranus are trine on the 2nd of September. And then they're at 28 degrees Leo and Aries. So it's going to be a fire trine with Mars and Uranus. And to me, that can be electrical fires. And so we're going to have a lot of stuff going on around September. I think that's going to be a month that's going to have, let me just scroll down here real quick to say, and I say hi to everybody in the chat room while you hear me. Hi, Mindy. Hi, Aloha, Jay. Oh my gosh, Gemini Moon, Gigi. Hello, everybody who's listening there. I wanted to say, hey, Happy New Year to you all. Let's see here. We're going to go back to September so I can give you an eye. So Mars is going to be in Virgo. Again, September, a month of health and strong energy as we get Uranus in Aries, and Neptune is in Pisces opposing Virgo. So we're going to have some of that energy around the third week of the month. Right around the 24th of September, there will be an opposition of Mars to Neptune. So Mars-Neptune opposition is going to be, again, slowing down, not wanting to do things, and people pushing you, pressuring you. September, it's kind of a mixed bag. October, Mars-Pluto trine. Mars-Pluto, what do we do? There's going to be an action or an event that can take place then, because there's also a Venus trine to Pluto right after on the 3rd. So Venus and Mars are going to meet up on the 5th of October. And so I always like October for weddings. So if you're thinking of having a wedding this coming year, I always like that. Venus and Mars are going to be conjunct, and that's the 5th. And interestingly, that's within a day of my parents' 64th wedding anniversary, I think. Is it 54th, excuse me, 54th wedding anniversary. So it's a good month for longevity. So if you're looking for it, go for October, don't go for June. Let's see, Mars-Pluto square on the 19th of November. Oh, wait a minute, I jumped ahead a little bit, sorry. Sun-Jupiter conjunction on the 27th in Scorpio. That's a good time for commitment also. October is a good month this year for commitment. There's only a Mars-Saturn square on the 11th. So if you can avoid that, if you can go either a little bit before it, but I would recommend just after the 11th, that's going to be a really good time for wedding towards, after the 11th of October. Saturn-Uranus trine on the 11th of November, which is 11/11. And so, again, heavy hitters, strong energy. There could be an event, but it will be for the ultimate positive outcome. Venus trine Neptune on the 16th. Again, another good day for a wedding. Venus-Jupiter conjunction in Scorpio on the 13th. Mars-Pluto square, something bigger we've got going on. Mars-Pluto, again, heavy hitters. They're in Libra and Capricorn, so it's going to be something around cooperation, diplomacy versus authoritarianism. Mercury-Saturn conjunction on the 28th, right in time for Thanksgiving. So it's going to be, again, having responsibility for our words around holiday festivities. And then on the 25th, there's a Mercury trine Uranus. So there's a lot of activity right around Thanksgiving coming up next year around technology and getting new technology started or wanting to shift and change what kind of technology we use. Full moon on the 3rd of December, and it's in Gemini, and it's through the 22nd. Let me see. I'm trying to make heads and tails out of this. Mercury, that's what it is. Mercury retrogrades on the 3rd, and there's also a full moon that day. So on the 3rd of December, you can see that there's something with communication to people of other cultures. There's transportation, travel, everything's beginning December. So full moon in Gemini means it's more clarity, but it's glitches. And because it's Mercury in Sagittarius, so it's going to be miscommunication with people of other cultures, probably due to language barriers or difficulty with language and getting your point across. It's also education issues coming up beginning of December. Issues doesn't mean bad. It can mean positive. You go back to school, learn something new. And let's see, Saturn enters Capricorn on the 19th of December. So we are going into 2.5 years of Saturn in Capricorn. It is shoring up the authority energy, and really what it's ultimately doing, even though it is creating an increased awareness of the authoritarian patriarchal system, and it puts us in line where we feel, especially for women, they're going to feel like the power is not necessarily in their corner. But for the 2.5 years, it really does build our muscles, and it makes us much more aware of what we cannot do in our lives and how we don't want to live under rulership of any particular person's ideas and ideology. So Saturn enters Capricorn the end of 2017. Sun-Saturn conjunction on the 25th, probably going to be another good Christmas time, because Capricorn rules Christianity to a degree, the authoritarian side of that, and it's also tradition. So the holiday traditions are going to be strong again next year. Venus-Saturn conjunction on the 26th. So again, I think this coming year we've got another transitioning of a well-known person. Mars-Neptune trine on the 27th. So we're going to have some energy around Scorpio and Pisces. So it can be past relationships coming up and hopefully wrapping up that, or it'll also be energy of commitment to a relationship. So there may be some wonderful engagements coming up at the end of the year. That is the breakdown of 2017's astrology. I look forward to spending it with you and really going over more of the details as they pop up and we see how everything starts to unfold for 2017. I wish you the best year. I hope that you take all these transits and utilize your best life and find something that really expresses the Saturn and Sagittarius energy, where you find your spiritual center and you really come to know yourself even better in the coming year. I think that it will be a wild ride, but we're going to get through it and we're going to grow from it, because that's what Saturn and Sagittarius wants us to do. And so fiery, romantic, contentious, passionate, and never dull. So my name is Shelley Overton. I'm an astrologer in Orlando, Florida. I thank you very much for listening to me throughout these years, and I really enjoy bringing astrology to you. I hope beyond your ability to understand. And if I do, please do leave comments. You can leave them on Blog Talk. You can leave them on iTunes. And you could also email me at astrologerangel.com. So take care of yourself this coming year. And I love you. I love interacting with you and giving you insights into your world and astrology. Thanks a lot. See you next year.